What's going on, guys? We are back with another episode of Makai's Money Making Plays. This week, we got UFC Paris, Nasruddin Imavov taking on Caio Borralho. Very incredible middleweight title challenger, possibly fight. You know, whoever wins this or the RDR Fluffy fight could be next for the title. High stakes at the top of the card. Co-main event, fire. A lot of really good fights on this card. But you know what we do with this video here. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. And let's get the video underway. So, last card, unfortunately, we didn't come through with the lock of the week, Waldo Cortez Acosta, but a lot of you told me that Waldo was going to get knocked out. That did not happen. Fight went 3 rounds. I thought Waldo would put a little bit more, output out there, but he lost the decision. It is what it is. We take it on the chin. You know, the record doesn't look as good as it really could be, but we back and we come into Paris with some vengeance. I think, there was a lot of valuable options, a lot of guys that I really believe in that got underdog tags on them, or maybe even some, special decisions or something, some special outcomes for a lot of the fights. But there's one in particular that I'm really, really honing in on. But before we even get to that, I do have to, mention that the Caio Fernandez Fares Ziam fight was canceled. Fares Ziam, I believe he lost his grandparent or grandmother, something like that, so rest in peace to, his family members and my condolences. But we do get Caio Fernandez still on the card fighting Harry Hardwick. I'm going to pick Caio Fernandez. I feel as though, Harry's style plays a little bit into what Caio can exploit, especially with this fight being at short notice, and Hardwick is coming up in weight. He is normally a featherweight, so I'm going to go with Caio Fernandez. Not, a most confident pick, once we get there, we'll get there, of mine at this point. But I do like Caio Fernandez to win, probably by a decision. I think, his speed, his kicking range, I think he'll, benefit from that. So back to the point though, lock of the week. Yes, we lost with Waldo, took a week off. We didn't have any fights last week, but we're back. UFC Paris. We got 2 fighting nerds at the top of the card. We got a lot of Paris or French fighters on the card. But I thought I was going to shake some things up. I want to target something that I've only done a couple of times, and I was pretty successful doing it. And I think we've only missed on this type of line once, if I'm not, mistaken. I'll go back and do the research at the end of the video, and I'll double check. But I believe I only missed on this line once as the lock of the week. So I'm going at it again, and I'm super confident. I have the utmost confidence in this pick. So I don't want to waste any more time. Let's get straight to the little promo that I made for you guys, and let's get to the lock of the week. Mauricio one-shot roofie by TKO plus 115. When I saw this number come out, I had to jump on it because I knew it was going to get absolutely bombed. I cannot trust BSD's chin, bro. If you look at the last fight, him versus Prepelic, he was getting pieced up on the feet. Momentarily, yes, he had success in the grappling. But Prepelic, if you don't know, well, you should know, that fight was short notice. And, BSD did have some physicality advantages against a Prepelic whose movement style is nowhere near compared to Mauricio Roofie. Roofie is an incredible striker with slick movement, head movement. The way he's able to get his shots off in awkward positions, dude is nasty. Look at the finish over Jamie Malarkey. He had him face planted on the mat. Bobby Green. A lot of people are giving Roofie a lot of flack for the James Jontop fight, but if you don't know, Jontop came into that fight damn near 185 pounds, probably rehydrated up to like 180 pounds. That fight was on, it was a catch weight. I believe it was like 165. Roofie cut weight, made weight, and then had to rehydrate back to 165, weigh in again. And he still was dropped him like 2 or 3 times in that fight. Yeah, he looked a little, shaky in the 3rd round. But what did he do the very next fight to Bobby Green? Flatline. When I look at BSD, his style is more of a mauling style. He wants to walk forward, press you, grab you up, put you on the cage, take you down, beat you up a little bit. Did some of that to Dustin Poirier. But what happened in the 2nd round? Knocked out. Yeah, he had staph, whatever, cool. Then we go to the Renato Moicano fight. 1st round, gets absolutely dog walked on the mat, and face was absolutely beaten and battered cut up. Eye got sliced open. Second round, he had a little bit of success, but Renato Moicano took that round off. Third round, ref called it off because his eye was an absolute mess. Look, I don't see BSD being able to take a shot from Mauricio Rufi. Maybe he'll eat a jab or two, but I'm telling you, I almost wanted to go Rufi by first round knockout. That's how confident I am in him. BSD is going to walk forward with little to no head movement. He's going to try and pressure Rufi up against the cage. And I'm telling you now, Rufi's going to cut an angle and catch BSD slipping. And I'm telling you, his face will be face down on the canvas. Mauricio Rufi is getting the knockout. I have the absolute most confidence in it. I think he gets it done within a round and a half, honestly. I can't see BSD being able to move the way that he does against Mauricio Rufi, who can find angles on guys who have way better movement than BSD. I think BSD is walking straight into Mr. One Shot himself, and I really do believe Rufi gets it done by first round finish. The money line, I believe, is around minus 180, minus 200. First round finish, you get a little bit more plus money, but I'm just taking TKO straight, plus 115. Hey, man, I missed on the chance of, Carlos Prates, another fighting nerd by TKO with a similar price value. I'm not doing it again. Mauricio Rufi by TKO. I'll even go out on a whim and say Rufi TKO under 1.5. I can't trust BSD in this spot. Yes, he's home. Yes, he's a French fighter, but we've seen him lose and get stopped in Paris before. So give me Rufi by knockout, and we getting right back on the winning side of the lock of the week. Moving on. Most confident picks. I got 3 of them for you. You can see them now. Andreas Gustafsson, Sam Hughes, and Umar Sa. I do have a little bit of, flack to give Umar Sa, but we'll get to him when we get to him. Let's start with Andreas Gustafsson. Him taking on Rinat Fakhretdinov. I think his style is something that we have seen Rinat Fakhretdinov struggle with previously. Carlos Liel, yes, he doesn't necessarily pressure. He's more of a kickboxer, but the output that he was giving Rinat Fakhretdinov, it was giving him a little bit of trouble. And a lot of people, including myself, believe Rinat Fakhretdinov lost that fight. Then we go to the next fight with Nicholas Dalby, who is more of a pressure fighter, likes to be in your face, but he's more so with the striking element. Gave Rinat a lot of trouble. Rinat looked very tired in that third round, was swinging some wild shots. Now we go to Andreas Gustafsson, who's not going to give Rinat Fakhretdinov an inch of breathing room. He's going to be in his face from the minute the first bell goes off to the last, if they get there. And he's going to be up against the cage, beating his body down. We saw what he did to Chaos Williams, where he was an underdog there, and I gave him to you guys at pretty solid dog money. I believe it was like plus 160, somewhere around there. Yes, he's a slight favorite here, but I have super confidence in Andreas Gustafsson doing what he does. If you don't know, he calls it going full retard against Rinat Fakhretdinov. I think he's going to give Rinat his first UFC loss. I know he's on a 23 fight win streak, something else. I believe it's 20 or 23 fight win streak. I think he's getting a loss here, and I think he's going to get pretty much beaten up for a good majority of the fight. I'm not going to say Andreas, by knockout is the definite call. I could definitely see him winning a decision similar to how, Chaos Williams was able to survive, but Rinat does present a little bit more stylistically than a Chaos Williams, so I'll give him that favor. His movement is a lot better than Chaos Williams, so I'll give him that respect as far as going Andreas Gustafsson by finish. But I do like Andreas Gustafsson to get the most confident pick started. Next up, we got Sam Hughes taking on Shauna Bannon. I can't trust Shauna Bannon here. Yes, she got the stoppage over Pooja Tomar last time out, but that was Pooja Tomar who also knocked Shauna Bannon damn near out. Made a mistake and got her arm caught in an arm bar. I don't see that happening with Sam Hughes. I see Sam Hughes on the pressure, putting her up against the cage, taking her down, landing some pretty good, ground and pound. Maybe get to some, finishing sequences. I don't know if she finishes Shauna Bannon, but I would like to see a finish from Sam Hughes. This is her first time being a favorite in the UFC. She's usually, an underdog, and I've lost to Sam Hughes as an underdog before. Pretty wide line, minus 310. I understand if you want to stay away, but I do like Sam Hughes to win this fight. I think she's going to look pretty solid. I don't think Shauna Bannon's, kicking style is going to give her a win, or carry her to a win in this fight. I think Sam Hughes is going to be able to close the distance and pretty much bully Shauna Bannon. So I like Shauna Bannon. Damn, I can't speak. I like Sam Hughes as a most confident pick, and I believe she gets it done on the scorecards. Umar Sy. Now, with Umar Sy, I understand. I witnessed it with my own eyes, him losing to Alonzo Minifield, and it looked pretty bad. He was shooting takedown after takedown, unable to get it, and that was really all he relied on. I think he'll have a little bit more success getting a takedown against Brenderson Ribeiro, who is pretty much a power striker. His takedown defense is okay, but I think Umar Sy, he's more athletic. He's more of a mixed martial artist than Brenderson Ribeiro, who does have some sneaky jiu-jitsu, but I think Umar Sy's physicality can win him, the wrestling engagements. I can see him taking him down, controlling him, and maybe he gets a finish, maybe he doesn't. Maybe he gets a 29-28 scorecard. But I do see Umar Sy having a clear path to victory in this fight. Now, I did think about it, and I do have one more I want to throw in the section, and that's going to be William Gomis. I like William Gomis, man. I like his style. I like the way he fights, and I'm not super sold on Ruchala. I watched this tape, and a lot of people were hyping him up as a UFC signing, but I really just don't see it. I think William Gomis is going to style on him, win unanimous decision, stick and move, stay on the outside, and have Ruchala looking pretty much starstruck. I don't see the big strikes coming from him. I like his kicks, but that's really all he has. Other than that, I like William Gomis to win by unanimous decision, and I like him as a most confident pick. And I'm throwing him up here. I got my 3 written down, but I'm throwing him up here off the whim, and I really do like William Gomis as another addition to the most confident picks. Moving on to the favorite underdogs, I got a couple of them. Reese McKee, Auntie Delija, who's that damn near, a coin flip odd. So underdog, favorite, whatever you want to call it, but even money right there. Auntie Delija -110 at the time of this recording. Pitbull +170 and Balaji Oki. We'll start with Reese McKee taking on Axel Sola. I really think Reese McKee is live to get a stoppage over Axel Sola, who is a lightweight moving up to 170. He doesn't have a lot of head movement. He does like to get into your face, might have, a speed advantage in the striking, but I think Reese McKee's long, lanky, he is long and lanky and has enough power to knock out an Axel Sola. I like McKee's, dog mentality. Yes, he only won one fight in the UFC, but if you look at his competition, it's pretty solid. He lost to, Khamzat Chimaev, which has been held over him for a long time, but look at where Khamzat Chimaev is now. He's a champion at a weight class above him, so can you really fault him for losing to Khamzat? I don't think so. Last time out, he knocked out Daniel Frunze, which I picked Frunze to win in that fight. And Frunze is a much better striker than Axel Sola. He has way better head movement. He's better around the octagon as well. I don't see Axel Sola, coming in on his debut, moving up a weight class and beating Reese McKee. So give me Reese McKee at +114. Auntie Delija, even money. So if you want to call him an underdog or not, that's on you, brother, man. I liked him in this spot. I know earlier in the week he was a favorite, but last week he was the underdog in this matchup. Auntie Delija -110, -108, somewhere around there on some books, depending where you find it. I do believe he's going to beat Marcin Tybura. Just found out earlier today that he also trains with Tom Aspinall, which is another thing that I like. Training with a guy who already beat the guy that you're fighting. I think he's more aggressive. I think his striking style is way better than Marcin Tybura. He has enough wrestling to maybe not, completely defend all of the takedowns for Marcin Tybura, but he can threaten with his own wrestling as well. And I think that's going to play a factor. Maybe Marcin is a little bit hesitant to engage in the grappling. Maybe he doesn't want to clinch up with Auntie because he can see that, maybe this guy could take me down as well. They have fought before. I didn't mention it on the prediction because the fight was like 6-7 years ago. And, if I was to bring that up, then that's saying that neither one of these guys have developed since then. So no mention of that, no need to. I do think Delija is winning his UFC debut. And I'm not a big fan of, guys making their UFC debuts into making their UFC debut into the UFC, making their UFC debuts. I passed on Patchy. I did pick Pico and I did pick Pitbull when he made his debut, but I flipped on Pitbull. At first I was on Yair, then I went to Pitbull. I got sold with, the media day and all that. It is what it is. But I was right on Patchy. So give me some points there. I did pick Pico. Pico looked good. He was hurting, Lerone Murphy, and then he ended up getting caught. It is what it is. But I'm going with Auntie Dalia. That brings me to Pitbull. Lucens Kaida, I'm not sure how you say his name, will hear it, this weekend. I think, yes, he's scary in the striking. Yes, he's fast. Yes, he has power. Yes, he defended takedowns over an octagon, but who were his competition? Or who was his competition? You know what I'm saying? It wasn't Patricio Pitbull, who is damn near the greatest Bellator fighter of all time. Pitbull, I think, is going to look a lot better than we've seen him previously. I think, the size of Kita isn't as intimidating as a Yair Rodriguez is. Neither is the striking. Yes, they're both fast, but Yair is more dynamic with the striking. The kids can come from any type of angle. You have to watch, what is coming at you. You could shoot for a takedown as dude's throwing the elbow from the damn near the ground. You know what I'm saying? We saw the finish over the Korean Zombie. I don't see the creativity in Kita. Most of his striking is really just, power blitzes where he's swinging hooks from damn near his hips sometimes. Yeah, he got power. Maybe he can catch Pitbull, but I think Pitbull is so savvy enough at this point in his career. He's got damn near over 40 fights. I think he can time the striking from Lucens. This is a style that he's seen before. I think he's going to be able to time takedowns, and that's going to be key for him winning. I think if he takes down Lucens or Losens Kita, I don't think he's going to be able to get up to his feet as easily as he has in those past matches. So I think Pitbull is live to win, decision, submission, either way, sub or decision. If that's a prop that you could take, I know FanDuel has that. If you could take sub or decision on Pitbull, pretty sure the money, the odds on that are pretty good. So I like Pitbull plus 170 as an underdog. I think he's gonna look pretty good in this fight. Definitely a winnable matchup for him. And then we're closing it out with Balaji Oki. I have said before on the prediction show, I'm not all the way sold on Mason Jones. I know he had a really tough fight with Jeremy Stevens, but I like Balaji Oki a little bit more. I think he's going to be a little nastier in the striking. I like his jab a lot better. Mason Jones might have a speed advantage, but I think Balaji is going to have the power, and it's going to deter him from closing the gap and getting, into the red zone with Balaji. And even if they engage in grappling, I think Balaji can overpower Mason Jones. I think most of the fight is going to play out either on the cage or in the striking. And I think I'm going to favor Balaji Oki in both of those situations. Maybe, Balaji shoots for a takedown. Maybe Mason shoots for a takedown. But I think they're both going to defend the takedowns pretty well. I think majority of this fight is going to be standing up. And I am going to favor Balaji Oki to win. I think he can strike better from range. And I think he has the better power. So I'm going with Balaji Oki as a plus money underdog, plus 115. Now, moving on to my favorite section, your favorite section, the parlays. Let's get straight to it. First one up, we got Mauricio Rufy moneyline tagged with the over 3.5 in the Kyle versus Imavov fight, minus 104. I think that one is super safe. I do believe Kyle versus Imavov is going to a decision. I think Kyle wins, and I think it's going to be probably a boring fight. A lot of people are expecting, a finish on this side, finish on that way. But I do believe Kyle is going to win. More stylistic advantage for him. I think Imavov is going to want to force the action, and I see Kyle being able to stay at distance. A little bit of success or similar success to what Israel Adesanya started to have, but I think, with Kyle being able to implement the wrestling and the jiu-jitsu, I think he's going to pull off a decision. So minus 104 there. Next up, we got Andreas Gustafsson, William Gomis moneyline plus 153. Do think both of those guys are live to win. They're both of them are most confident picks, so I really like that play as well. Next up, we got Reese McKee, Mauricio Rufy, and then the over 2.5 Sean O'Bannon versus Sam Hughes fight plus 278. Really think we're going to a decision there, and then I like both of those guys as well. Most confident or one of my favorite underdogs, and then the lock of the week, Marisa Rufi. Then we're moving on to Reese and Ante DeLiha plus 300. I think both of them are, live for a finish. So just take the money line on them. Still get, pretty good odds plus 300. Then we're going Kawhi Fernandez, Sam Hughes, and Andreas Gustafsson money line plus 346. Like I said, very confident in Sam and Gustafsson. And I think the style that Harry Hardwick brings is going to play right into Kawhi's hands. So I like that play as well. Then we're going to the over 2.5 in the Oki versus Jones. I do believe we're going to a decision. Sam Hughes and Patricio Pitbull, sneaky little underdog, plus 584. Then we're going over 3.5 again with the Kyle versus Imavov, under 1.5. Rufi versus BSD, because I do believe Rufi gets it done inside of one round. Ante DeLiha and William Gomis, plus 674. Then we're going to move along to Andreas Gustafsson, DeLiha, Reese, and Rufi, plus 991. As you guys can see, I like a lot of, I'm repeating a lot, but I do believe, all of these are confident picks. Then we're going Kaio, money line, is where I amp it up a little bit. Kawe and Reese by TKO, because I don't like how, Axel Sola does not move his head off the center line. He backs straight up, comes straight back to you. So I think Reese with those long arms is definitely going to be able to time something. And, he may not look like the strongest guy, but he has some power in those hands. Plus 1,000. Then we're moving on to the Big Bang. We got Rufi round 1. William Gomis and Sam Patterson to get the submission plus 1664. I do think his grappling is going to play a factor into that fight against Trey Waters, who drops his hands very low, keeps them very low, and he's so used to avoiding shots from smaller guys with his hands at his hips. I think Sam is going to be able to keep his hands busy, and then shoot the takedown and get on his back. I think, like I said, in the predictions, I wasn't very impressed with Trey Waters' takedown defense or his grappling defense, his submission defense. I think Sam is going to be able to exploit that, and I do see another finish coming from Sam Patterson. So that is what I got for this week's Makai's Money Making Plays. Let me know in the comments what you guys think of the lock of the week. You think I'm bugging on Rufi getting a knockout? You got BSD to win a decision or maybe a submission. Maybe he gets him down. If you're on the BSD side, I would say I understand you, but I don't. So if you got BSD, let me know in the comments. We could debate it, back and forth, and I'll give you my reasons why I picked Rufi. You give me your reasons why you picked BSD. But I think you might be on an island by yourself, brother. Let me know who you got in the main event. If you don't got nothing else to say, just drop a W in the comments. And as always, I will see you guys for the weigh-in recap. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll catch you later. Peace out.